Hi, welcome back to week 4 of the Three Rivers Pantry Challenge. I am so excited because I feel great and I'm ready to take this week on head on. This will be a full 6 days, including a family dinner today. It's going to be a fun week, so let's get right to it. I'm having leftover oatmeal bake for breakfast. It gets kind of hard in the refrigerator, but once you warm it up, it's great. It's no problem. I'll just pop that in the microwave. I've got all of my potatoes and chicken thawing so that I can have my family dinner today with chicken potato cheesy bake. Now, see, it softens up once it's warm. Now I'm just gonna add some butter and some maple syrup. That's breakfast. For lunch today, we're just gonna use some of the pork that I cooked earlier in the week to put on a taco. I have this cheese that is a very sharp cheese, and when I tried to slice it, it just kind of fell apart. So I'm just gonna kind of chop it into smaller pieces, and that's what we're gonna use on these tacos. I'm gonna add some of the Nancy's probiotic sour cream on mine. Mark doesn't do that kind of stuff. Then some meat and the cheese, and I have more of the black olives, and of course my favorite, Chipotle Tabasco. And we're still using the spinach leaves for our lettuce. I'm gonna toast mine in ghee. And there's lunch. Okay, we're in the larder. We need some green beans. Oh, I think I need a quart, so I'll take that. And we need some Ritz crackers. We got all the way upstairs and remembered we need cream of chicken soup also. I need 2 of these. I'm sure if you've been to many potlucks, you have had a cheesy potato casserole. The only difference I do is I add chicken to mine. I usually grill the chicken so that it gives it an extra touch of flavor. So this is basically sour cream, cream of chicken soup, cheese, butter. Then I add the chicken after it's cooled. I chop it up into bite-sized pieces, not too big, and I add that to the mixture. Then I add the potatoes. These are some that I bought from Azure, and if you look, you will not see any brown spots or green spots. If you've ever bought these potatoes from the grocery store, they can look really awful, and you got to kind of pick out the brown ones and the green ones. But these are beautiful. They are organic, and they actually cost me less than what I pay at the store. Now for the topping, we're going to use those Ritz crackers that I got. We're going to smash them up really fine so that they're just like little crumbs. And then we're going to add some melted butter. At this point, we'll zip the bag back up and just distribute the crumbs into the butter and make them all yummy. Those get sprinkled on top of the potatoes, and this is like the game changer. They're so good. So that went in the oven, and it's time to work on the green beans. So I opened 2 quarts of green beans, and I kept some of the juice in one of the jars, and I added some beef better than bouillon, and along with some garlic powder and the chopped up bacon. And I didn't even know if anybody would eat these. You guys, they cleaned the pan. They loved them. For dessert, because I bought a big box of Fuji apples from Azure, I decided we needed to have an apple crisp. So I'm putting that together, and I am not using a white sugar. I am using coconut sugar and maple syrup to sweeten things with. That way I can eat it too, because I do not eat processed sugars. I started out working the butter in with my pastry blender and then just used my hands to finish it up. And here is the potato casserole and green beans. And there is the apple crisp. Good morning. It's Monday morning, and I had leftover oatmeal bake for breakfast like I did yesterday. You didn't miss a thing. But I am going to get these seeds to sprouting so that I can add them to my tacos or my avocado toast or whatever. They won't be ready for 4 to 6 days, but you got to start sometime, right? So I'm going to put them in a quart wide mouth jar, and then I have these wire lids that I put on top. And then after I get them wet and I want to drain them, I can just turn it upside down and it sits on these little feet. So I will leave a link in the description for these lids. They're great. Now, sprouting seeds is a great option in the wintertime when you can't grow your own greens. And this one is a mixture. It has radish, mung bean, alfalfa, red clover, and all of those mixed together. So you can see there's all different size of seeds in there. And we're going to get some started. So we're going to add 1 to 2 tablespoons. And since I'm using a quart jar, I'm going to go ahead with 2. A lot of those smaller seeds are kind of stuck to the bag, so I'm going to kind of make sure I get those in there. All right, that's not very much. These seeds will last a while. And then we're going to just cover them with water, just to cover the beans, so we don't need a lot of water. And we're going to just swirl them around so they all get wet. And then we're going to drain them. So I'm going to add my lid and take it over to the sink and just pour the water out. Okay. Then we're going to refill it with water. And we can just do it through the screen. That's no big deal. That way we can kind of wash the seeds off that are on the screen itself. Okay, then we're going to swirl it around again. So now we are going to, it's interesting, look how all the brown seeds are together, all the green seeds, and all the little seeds. That's funny how they just kind of separate according to size. Now we're going to let these do an initial soaking for 4 to 8 hours. So I'll probably just do them after dinner time. So it'll be at least 6 hours by the time I get to mine. And that's all we need to do right now. In August, for the Every Bit Counts challenge I did, we made some jalapeno poppers with jalapenos we bought at the Amish produce auction. So we popped those in the air fryer and they were delicious. So I'm getting ready for dinner tonight. I'm making cornbread. I made it my first week with black-eyed peas. So this is my flour and cornmeal. This is my butter and eggs and honey and maple syrup and all that kind of stuff. And I still need to add my 1.5 cups of sourdough starter. So we'll get that added. And we'll put it in with everything else. All right. Now just cover it with a towel and let it set for 4 hours. Hey, it's time for dinner. So I'm gonna get this cornbread in the oven. I cooked some rice a little bit ago, and I'm going to brown some sausage and put together a soup-like thing that I had made last week, I think. But tonight is my night to provide family dinner. So I decided to just do something very easy, and I hope that they like it. Let's get this all put together. So last time I made this, I used some tomato paste and water to give it a tomato base. This time I'm gonna use some fire roasted tomatoes to add a little extra flavor. Okay, my sausage is done. I took some of the rice out instead of leaving all of it in here because I didn't know if I would need it all. Okay, we'll add those. And another one. That's better. I also went down and got some beef broth. Give it a little bit more of a depth of flavor. Okay, now we're gonna heat this through. So here's the soup and the cornbread. I already dipped up the kids, so there's some pieces missing. It's about time to go to bed, but before I do, I need to do two things. Number one, I need to feed my sourdough. So I'm gonna use it tomorrow, so I want it to be fed and be able to raise the bread that I wanna make with it. I also need to rinse the seeds that I was soaking today to get them started sprouting. I'm gonna weigh this half-gallon jar and tear it out because I know that this jar weighs the same as the jar that I have my starter in. And I want to see how much starter I have right now. So I'm gonna take that one off and put this one on. And I can see I have 18.7 ounces of starter. That's more than I need in this jar. So I have a jar here that I've been putting pour off in, which I can use for other items. And so I'm gonna pour some of this off, and I'm just guessing, I don't know exactly, 1150, a little bit more, 9.85, that's good enough. So I'm gonna set the pour off jar aside, and this one I'm going to feed. Now I want to add 10 ounces of water and 10 ounces of flour to this, so I'm going to tear this out again to bring it to 0. And then I'm going to add flour. All right, that's good enough. And now I'm going to tear it again so that I can put water in it. Okay, now I'll just stir it up. And tomorrow morning, I'll have a jar of nice bubbly starter. Just put my fabric back on, and it's about this full. Tomorrow, it'll be all the way up to here. In fact, I usually sit it in a bowl. In case it overflows, it goes in the bowl instead of all over my countertops. Now we're just gonna drain out the water from around these seeds. I don't know if you can tell, it's a little yellow in color. We're just gonna dump it out. We want them kind of spread out on the side of the jar so that they can start their sprouting process more easily and not be jumbled on top of each other. So to do this, you'll wanna leave it sitting kind of sideways. So we're gonna put it in this heavy glass bowl, kind of like that. And I'm just gonna sit it up here for it to start its sprouting process. Good morning. It is Tuesday morning, and I decided to put together some sourdough waffles. Unfortunately, I started them and then realized I didn't have my mic on, which means you didn't get to see me put it all together. So I will just tell you what's in them. Okay, so I added my sourdough, my eggs, my butter, and that is the base of this mixture. I added some honey. What I like about this is that it does not use flour. So it only uses sourdough starter, and I love that. So now we're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking soda. Now I'm doing a double recipe. I will leave the link to the recipe in my description box. I am using pour off in mine, but you can use a fed sourdough as well. That baking soda just makes it puff up. I don't know if you see that, how puffy it is now. Okay, I like this waffle maker because it lets stuff roll off on these little areas to hold it instead of it going outside the maker. And I'm going to show you the best way to fix these, and that is with ghee. If you've never tried ghee on a waffle, you need to. You hear this crunch? Mmm. But it's also really light and fluffy inside. I will take all my extra waffles and lay them out on a tray like this and put them in the freezer so that they're individually frozen. Then I'll stick them in a Ziploc bag and pull out what we need when we want it. We have a Bible study that we go to on Tuesday nights, and we always pitch in and bring a meal. So tonight is soup night. So I've decided to take some chicken noodle soup. I have chicken thighs and some thigh bones in here that I'm just going to cook. I will cook until the chicken is done, and then I will pull it off the bone. But then I will let the rest of it just kind of simmer all day to make a really nice stock. And I'm going to try my hand at making noodles today. I've never done that before. I'm also going to put together some bread, because who doesn't need bread but there's soup? I'm just going to do plain sourdough, and I do a version of sourdough where you just mix it and you let it sit all day and then you bake it. I don't do the stretch and fold or anything like that. So you can see how mine looks at the end of the day and see if you want to try it sometime. First, I'm going to mix my salt in with my flour real quick. Now I'm just going to pour this in. And I'm just going to kind of roughly mix it until it's what you call shaggy. It's not like a perfect pretty dough. It's just kind of all pulled together, and that's it. Now, I told you that I don't stretch and pull it all day. I do once, and that is after I make this shaggy dough. Okay, we're going to leave this sitting here for 30 minutes, and then I'll come back in and I'll stretch and fold it for about 20 seconds. Then I'm done with it for the day. Now it's time to fold and stretch. Now I will cover it and put it in the oven to keep it warm throughout the day. For lunch, I just had some of the Stackers with my Nancy's cream cheese along with an apple because I just wanted it to be quick. All right, it's time to try my hand at pasta. Let's see if I can do this. So I'll start with 3 cups of flour. And I need a cup of sourdough starter. And now I need 4 eggs. All right, mix on low to medium until the dough is smooth and stretchy, about 10 minutes. Okay, we're gonna see if it's smooth and stretchy. And pretty stretchy. It's actually really stiff. I don't know if that's supposed to be like that or not. So I guess we're just gonna take it off. And now we let it sit for 30 minutes. Okay, you guys, I've got my pasta machine here. I have my pasta divided into 8 balls, which is what I was told to do. Okay, I had to get another pan because I'm definitely going to need to roll this. It's a little too tough for me to just pat it out. Oh, that's smooth and nice. I think I did okay, maybe. We'll see. All right, let's see if it grabs it and takes it. Yeah, it did. Okay, then she said to fold it over and do it again on that setting. And then she said to keep doing it through the smaller settings one at a time. That feels pretty thin already. I'm going more for a noodle for my chicken noodle soup. So I'll put it back on 7, which is the biggest. Let's re-roll it. All right, now we're going to try again. Okay, I feel like I need to just kind of sprinkle some flour. Kind of give it a little bit of something there. Okay, I'm going to go 1 shorter. And I think that's as much as I want to go. So I'm going to leave it at that. Let's see how this goes. Okay, I think I'm just going to separate it over at the clothes rack and put it on straight from my hands. So my Bible study leader contacted us, and we're actually not even having Bible study tonight now because they have some illness in their house. But that means I'll just share this with my family and see what they think. Okay, I'm going to keep working on this, and then I'll bring you back when I've gone through all of the dough. You guys, I did it. I made noodles. Well, this has definitely been a learning curve, but I'm happy with it. Now for the soup, I'm going to put a little bit of oil in a skillet, and I'm going to add some finely chopped onions and celery and garlic. And those are just going to brown up a little bit. And I took my chicken and broth out of my original pan. I'm adding the vegetables to that pan. And then I'm going to add the chicken that I took off of the thigh bones, a little pepper and some salt. Kind of stir that together, and now I'm going to add the broth back in. Now I did add some flour and water to thicken it a little bit. So I did not know that when I took my pasta off of my rack that it would break in half. So I lost some of it on the floor. But that's okay. I still have plenty for dinner, and I'm really excited about it. It's time to bring this water to a boil and get this pasta in. I did go ahead and take a knife and just kind of cut these all into about 2.5-inch pieces. It's time to get the bread out of the oven. These are definitely flat, but they'll be good. I'm not worried about it. It's bread. And here is dinner. Some flat, dense sourdough that will dip nicely in my chicken noodle soup. My dad's favorite dish was cornbread and milk, and I decided to just use some of my leftover cornbread and make some for breakfast this morning. For lunch, I decided to make some roasted broccoli. So I just put some garlic and salt and pepper and roasted it. And I had some of the leftover potato casserole from our family dinner. Then for dinner, here we are with leftovers again. More chicken noodle soup and bread. And for breakfast on Thursday, I had leftover waffles. I could have them every day. They're so good. Thursday was Our Ladies coffee group, so I made some fresh biscuits and actually put out the leftover chicken noodle soup, and they were thrilled. Then for dinner, I was thrilled because it was Kaylee's turn to cook family dinner, and she made this fabulous lasagna with gluten-free noodles and used my leftover sourdough bread to make garlic toast and threw some green beans together. It was so good. For breakfast on Friday, I had some of the biscuits left over from yesterday and some cheese on them. So not a lot. And then lunch and dinner were just leftovers. So it starts with Nancy's probiotic Greek yogurt. And I just put some in a bowl. I put some raw honey on top, just kind of push it in a little bit so that it spreads around. Then I have homemade fermented granola, and I just put that on top. So these are my sprouts, and I'm just washing them to kind of knock off any, like these seed casings where they came out of their seeds, and then I will strain them and be able to use them. There are quite a variety of sizes. You have the mung bean that are just barely sprouted, and you have the radishes that are just like fine little hairs. I don't even know if you can see that on my fingertip. And then you have everything in between. And some of these actually have little leaves on them. Now we're going to use this on my avocado toast. This is the gluten-free bread that I got from Azure Standard. And I'm just going to put half of this little cup of avocado mash on it. Kind of split them up here. Going to add some of the cheese bits that I've added before. This is just a real sharp cheese that kind of crumbled when I tried to slice it. So I'm just using it up in different ways. We put some on a taco recently too. I'm going to add a little bit of everything bagel seasoning. Just gives it the saltiness that it needs. And now we're going to top it with some sprouts. These are so nutritious for you, and they're great if you don't have salad greens in the winter. You can sprout and use these. You can use them as the base of a salad or top them on top of something like a taco or whatever. Now I will start a new jar of these. These will last me a few days, and the way I'm going to store them is in a container with the paper towel in the bottom. We want to keep them fairly dry so that they don't get moldy. And then I'm going to cover them with saran wrap. I'm going to pull it tight, not because I want it to seal real tightly, but because I want to be able to poke some holes in it. We want to be able to let some air flow in and around them to keep them from getting soggy and moldy. I'm also going to have some heated up roasted broccoli that was left over. It's a very green meal today. So there's lunch on Saturday afternoon. This has been a very full week of making meals each day. Sometimes it's been kind of boring for you because it was leftovers. Kind of boring for me too, because I know there's a lot of things in my pantry that I would love to get into. But I also know, as a good steward, I need to finish the food up that we started eating before we go on to the next thing. This is Saturday, and I've shown you my breakfast and my lunch, but I have to tell you that we are actually going to eat out for dinner. Technically, it's something from our pantry. We have this jar in our pantry that has all of these gift cards that people have given us. And like, here's a honey baked ham. We have a movie gift card and a First Watch gift card. And we just kind of keep them here until we decide, let's do something. So we had a Papa Murphy's card that Mark had been given, and that's what we're doing for dinner. So it is from our pantry, but I'm not having to cook it. That's even better. So we will get a sausage and pepperoni because that's the one pizza that both of us really enjoy. I prefer some vegetables and stuff on mine, but Mark does not. I am so happy that you came along with us this week, and I didn't even have to tell you that I was sick, which is wonderful. I hope that you got some good ideas from things out of our pantry to help you eat the food in your pantry. I have some ideas up my sleeve for next week, and I hope that you come along and see what those are. And if you're new here, I am so happy to have you, and I might have some other videos that you would enjoy. Take a peek, and if you like it, stick around and subscribe. I have my pantry challenge videos coming out on Saturday, but on other days during the week, I have other videos out. So you should check those and see if there's something you're interested in. This coming Wednesday, I will have a video coming up on how to make a garlic salve for congestion or for wounds, but it is mild enough to use on babies and toddlers. I am so happy to have you. And until next time, blessings on you and yours.